Yeah, hi everybody. This is Tony. Welcome to another episode of Crime Pays, but Botany Does It. Now, today, I was coming to you from the old growth redwood forest, about, I don't know, 50 minutes north of the town of Arcata in coastal Northern California. Now, Arcata is known for being the birthplace of a cultural phenomenon known as the hippie tweaker. Okay, hippie tweakers blend mindless feel-good sentiments and bright colors with heavy methamphetamine use. They'll also steal anything that's not nailed down. Anyway, you could see this forest is one of the few crumbs that was preserved from a much more extensive forest once the death cult came in here and just logged everything. Ironic to think that most of the buildings that the trees that were cut down and shipped out of here built are either burnt down or demolished by now. Probably a good 80 to 90% of them. Okay, there's a few left, as historic sites, but most of the buildings that the trees that were in these forests built are now just in waste piles somewhere. Very, very. What do you say about that? I don't know. Mindless apes. That's all we are. Anyway, we're going to take a look, see what species are growing with these redwoods, what species are growing St. Patrick with them, and we're going to see some of these big old bastards. So let's take a walk and see what we can find. Okay, now we're going to start with two iconic species of the redwood forest. Okay, first is this western star flower. Okay, Lysimachia latifolia of the primrose family, Primulaceae, not to be confused with the evening primrose family, Onagraceae. Okay, you can see it's got the 6 petals right there. See that nice? 6 petals, and then 6 sepals alternating with it. The sepals being the little green bastards down there. And looks like it's got 6 stamens too. So floral parts in numbers of 6. Okay, and then like a little rosetta leaves at the top of a stalk. Okay, see that? You also got this redwood sorrel. Okay, looking like a little clover. Okay, clover, of course, is in the Fabaceae. This is not a clover. This is not in the Fabaceae. This is in the genus Oxalis, in the family Oxalidaceae. And this is Oxalis oregana. All right, quite a few Oxalis. Many of them are weedy. Get some real weird Oxalis down in Chile. Some incredible ones growing high up in the Andes. You also get a succulent bastard down there. Okay, Oxalis gigantea growing in the Atacama. Okay, in the fog deserts of the Atacama. All right, and then moving on over here, we got the western sword fern. Okay, iconic species with the redwoods. All right, this is Polysticum monetum. All right, Polysticum monetum, western sword fern. Okay, you can see they're just forming like a nice little thicket. You could go crawl and hide in, and freak people out. Just like to do it with random passersby here in a national park. Okay, they probably caught a cops in, but it wouldn't be the first time. Not too bad. Let's keep moving on. Look at that, little patches of light and you get things flowering. Okay, it's really dark here most of the time. Okay, it's sunny right now, but most of the time it's actually pretty foggy. Okay, we get about 3 times as much fog as the Bay Area further south. All right, 3 times as much precipitation roughly too. There's the flower on that oxalis though, that redwood sorrel. Just so you could, I just want to show you so you can see what it looks like. You see that? Little yellow dots at the base of those petals, striations on the petal, the nectar guides and what the shit. What's that calyx look like? Flip it over. There you go. There's the sepals right there. Look, it's fuzzy, huh? You got a fuzzy stem. Okay, another iconic species. Okay, growing in the understory right here. Right, member of the Berberidaceae, the Mahonia family, the Berberis family. Okay, the Oregon grape family. Okay, this is Vancouveria. See that? Look at odd flower structure, also known as the inside-out flower. Okay, got triphid leaves. Look, leaves in parts of the tree. Okay, kind of a soft and velvety texture to them, but you could tell there's some tiny hairs on there the way they feel. Okay, look at this. Look at the top of that. What the shit is going on with that flower? You see that? Looks like you got 6 petals. Okay, flipped on out, and then let's see if we can get out a little bit. Yeah, you got this poking out of there, little style. You also got quite a few little hairs on that perianth as well. Okay, there's that flower at the Vancouveria up close. You could see those anthers at the bottom of that little vase. Okay, all those little glands, those little red glands on the vase as well. And an ovary and a style are enclosed within that little vase. All right, so you pull that little vase off once it dehisces actually, and it's done. You see those petals flipped up nice, and you're left with this. You can see that. See, that's what it looks like underneath. Okay, with the petals off, you can see some of the glands still on there, the style still on there, and the ovary, aka the fruit, is covered beneath those glands, and it'll mature, and then you get a few seeds inside. So there's it. Vancouveria hexandra. Some of these Latin names are too many vowels even for me, and I love vowels. Now here's a nice plant for the foragers, for people that love throwing stuff in their mouths, picking stuff and throwing it in their mouths. This is a plant in the rose family, Rosaceae, known as Rubus spectabilis, aka the salmonberry. You can see that fringe up top just above the berry, and below those 5 distinct green sepals. That's the leftover filaments. All right, so this was a flower. I'll show it to you in a minute here. This was a flower at one point. Those filaments are part of the stamens. The filaments were topped by little anthers that release the pollen, and then those little hairs coming off of each one of those little yellow individual blobs was a style through which the pollen grain traveled down to pollinate the seed, aka the ovule, inside those little yellow blobs. So you can see that there. Now this is in the genus Rubus. Okay, and it's the same with, raspberries, blackberries, etc. Okay, and this is in the same genus as that Himalayan blackberry, but it's nowhere near as mean. You can see those prickles are nowhere near as bad. Himalayan blackberry is one of the worst invasive plants to colonize Western North America of recent. Let's go check out the flowers. There you go. There's a nice up close to that salmonberry flower. All those little yellow dots are the stigmas in accordant styles of those individual carpels. Each one of those carpels composes one of those little yellow blobs that together compose the individual salmonberry or raspberry or blackberry or whatever the shit. So you can see all those brown things encircling that aggregation of carpels are these stamens, including the filaments and the anthers. Okay, so those brown things are the anthers, the hiss and the pollen. Right, they're already done. They're post-mature. There's the flower. Okay, away from it with the hand lens. You can see you got 5 distinct petals, and then of course under there you got those 5 distinct sepals. Now here we go. One of my favorite plant families, the Ericaceae. Okay, oh, you got an Ericaceae way up there too. It's a huckleberry up top, but we're going to focus on this guy right here. This is one of 4 species in the genus Rhododendron that you get in a redwood forest. Look at how hairy those stems are. You got urushiol corollas. Urushiol corollas, you prick, looking like a little urn. There's one. Okay. You got a little tube up top. Now here's one I sliced open. These tend to have buzz pollination, okay? You got, I didn't actually count the anthers. It's either 8 or 10, but either way, what the bee needs to do is vibrate that little urushiol corolla to get the pollen to just dump out of those porous anthers. If we had a hand lens with us, we'd look at those brown anthers you could see right there, and they'd have a little pore at the end of them, okay? So, porous anthers act like pollen dispensers. It's a way to not just give away all your pollen at once. Much more efficient, right? And you got that green ovary in the center there. And again, that urn is actually composed of 5 fused petals, all fused together, real nice, like a little pet. All right, little pet. So there you go. Anyway, one of 4 species of rhododendron. The other species of rhododendron don't do that, okay? They look like what you would call a more general kind of poster child of a flower, okay? Just an open corolla. But this guy actually looks more like a blueberry flower, or maybe even a vaccinium. You can see the vaccinium up there growing epiphytic on that dead trunk. Look at it. Now we're getting into the massive old bastards, okay? And it will be massiveoldbastards.com. All right, not to be confused with massiveoldbastardsxxx.com, which is actually a homoerotic pornography site, an adult site dedicated entirely to well-endowed geriatric bears, okay? All right, now while I am straight, I do like to sometimes have a nice selection of homoerotic art on my phone to respond to mass text messages with, as well as to send to any of the squares or prudes in life that sometimes you have the misfortune of interacting with, okay? Tom of Finland normally does the job. Got quite a few Tom of Finland images on my phone. Just a really, rigid, embellished, black and gray portrait of a man in a police uniform or perhaps a lifeguard uniform. Anyway, you could see many of these trees are quite old, okay? You could use an increment board to go in there, but, these aren't even as big as they get. You can see we're looking at upwards of 300 feet up there, all right? That looks like a juvenile right there. Now, the thing that makes redwoods so successful in their habitat is like this guy right here, is that they could just hang in there if it's shady, if they're not getting light, and they just wait for one of their fellow countrymen to fall down, opening up a little spot in the canopy where they can then get some sunlight and just shoot off, okay? So that's an adaptive trait, okay? They're shade tolerant, but they also thrive once they do end up getting some. You got to appreciate these openings, okay? Sunlight where you can get it. That's one reason I could never live on a redwood forest. I love them. I appreciate them. I just don't want to live here. It's much too dark, all right? Can you imagine what some of those forest primeval look like? Now, if you take a look over there, you'll notice we got a different species of tree. It's actually in a pine family. It's in the hemlock genus Tsuga, T-S-U-G-A. Tsuga. You could spit that out. Okay, this is Tsuga heterophylla. Okay, and here you go. One of the other only trees of any consequence you get. There's the big leaf maple. Now, if you go up to the Olympic Peninsula, okay, or anywhere else really in the Pacific Northwest, these trees get pretty massive. Okay, massive old bastards covered in a bunch of mossy moss, okay, and lichens and what the shit. All right, here you can see they're doing pretty well. Also, they get quite big. You go down to the Bay Area, they don't get that big down there. Okay, it's kind of, you know, as the climate changes, it's getting a little too dry for these bastards, and you see them just they're not doing as well. They like it wet. They like the riparian areas. They you know, need enough moisture in the ground. All right, and down by like the Bay Area, down by Santa Cruz, it just it's been so dry as of late, as we get less winter precipitation and hotter, drier summers, and including catastrophic forest fires. These trees are kind of on their way out. So this is one of the trees, along with the Sequoia sempervirens, the coast redwood, that is going to be, its range is going to be moving northward as the climate warms at lower latitudes. Warms and dries. And here we go, another species in the understory. Just brushed that polysticum aside. Look at the underside of that. Look at all the scales on it, the western sword fern, at the polysticum monetum. All right, but the plant I want to show you over here is this guy. All right, there's the flower right there. The monkey flowers, Erythranth dentata. You can see he's got the dentate leaves right there. Looks quite like Erythranth guttata, but you don't need to worry about that right now. Just know it's an Erythranth if you're just getting into this stuff. There's that corolla. Bilaterally symmetrical corolla. The family's Phrymaceae. Okay, the family of monkey flowers. Okay, you get Mimulus in there. You get Mimulus in Oaxaca. You get Mimulus in Australia. You get Mimulus even in Illinois. Mimulus ringens, very pretty species. Out here out west, you get Erythranth and Diplacus. Used to be in the genus Mimulus, but it was, you know, turned out the genus Mimulus was polyphyletic. So it got split up, and this used to be Mimulus, but now it's Erythranth. You can see it's got that rather long pedicel right there. There's the calyx, okay, keeled calyx. Get a lot of nice Erythranth in Chile too, in the Andes. Holy shit, you get some nice ones. Up top, up there, you got that style. Little, almost looking like a bifid style. See that? Or a bifid stigma, excuse me. See that? Like a little white clam. And then you got those, just below that, you got 4 stamens in 2 unequal pairs. Okay, 2 pairs at unequal lengths. You can see those anthers dehissing. All right, again, looking like little clams. Lots of clams in this flower, apparently. This shit, I don't know. It's just what they look like, all right? When those anthers dehiss, you can see that's how they open. So it's called being didynamous. Penstemons do that too. 4 stamens and 2 pairs of unequal lengths in that style up top. And you got those hairs, those living trichomes on the bottom of that labium, that lip, that three petals fused together to form that lower labium, that lip, to guide the bee in there, the hairs as well as the speckling, to make sure that he brushes his back up against those anthers at the top of that corolla right there. And then the seeds on these guys, when they do get pollinated, okay, the corolla falls off. The seeds, you know, in an ovary inside that calyx, you got a superior ovary. Remember, the ovary superior when it occurs above the point of attachment of the petals and sepals. The seeds are fucking tiny, okay? So that's how, you know, apparently one of them made it to Chile however many millions of years ago and then had an adaptive radiation. Well, I don't know if you call it adaptive radiation, but there's a lot of fucking Erythranth species in Chile, in the Andes down there, and they're marvelous. They're marvelous plants growing at 10,000 feet in these glacially carved mountains. Beautiful bastards. And now look at this too. Now pay attention to the fact they're all growing on slopes, okay? A lot of steep slopes due to tectonics in the range of this species, Sequoia sempervirens. Okay, so because they grow on these slopes, and a lot of those slopes are unstable, you get landslides frequently. And so because of that, one of the adaptations of this species is that they can tolerate being buried once they're mature enough up to a certain height of their trunk, and they just keep growing on. So they don't, you know, they got those buttress trunks too that enable them to stand so tall and upright Okay, look at this guy. Look, it's got to be upwards of 250 feet easily right there. All right, and a lot of members of this family do that. The family, of course, is Cupressaceae. Redwoods used to be in a family called Taxodiaceae, but it was determined that that was paraphyletic. So, you know, some members of that family were more closely related to members of Cupressaceae, and so Taxodiaceae was then nested within Cupressaceae, the cypress and juniper family. But a lot of members, dawn redwood, Glyptostrobus, bald cypress, which is pretty closely related to the redwoods here. The Taxodium species down here in the swamps of Louisiana, and in the rivers and arroyos of Mexico. You know, they get those buttress trunks and they can tolerate being berries. They grow in very wet, generally riparian areas, and you know, that form of that trunk is a adaptation to that. Okay, more structural stability. Look at this. Look, you got the Polypodium scouleri up there. See that? You know, who knows? God knows what up there on the tops of the trees and what this shit. There's a species of salamander. That guy Steve Sillett did a bunch of climbing up there to go study the habitats created in the canopies of these forests. I mean, it's crazy to think, too, that just those tiny little leaves can supply that massive bastard with energy. But remember, the inside of the tree is dead. It's just that heartwood. Just, you know, the only practical function it's serving is just holding that tree up. Okay, so only the outer few inches are alive. Well, not outer few inches. You know, once you get past the bark, then the outer few inches. The bark can be upwards of a foot thick in some cases. You know, and many of these trees show evidence of prior fire. You know, fire might have happened, shit, I don't know, you know, 300 years ago, you know, by judging how far apart the ripples of the trunk of the bark are, you know. That's how you can kind of date it. See, there was a fire right there. I don't know if you could see that. It's either fire or lightning. And that guy in the back. But some of these, you know, you could tell that the bark has grown and spread quite significantly since the fire occurred. You know, since those burn marks were burned into the tree. Holy shit, speaking of burn marks, look at that. Look way up the tree. How long ago you think that fire occurred? Look, you got like a foot gap between those two burnt patches still. Anyway, so the soils here are very acidic because you got all the tannins leaching out from the plant debris, the plant material, and the endless cascade of needles, redwood needles, are raining down on the ground, as you can see right there. So due to that acidic nature of that soil, the family Ericaceae, the blueberry family, loves this soil. All right. Now these are mycorrhizal plants, many of them. I mean, most plants are mycorrhizal, but these especially are heavily mycorrhizal. Almost all Ericaceae are intensely mycorrhizal with their own specific type of fungi, whether it's arbutoid mycorrhizal fungi or ericoid fungi. This right here is a plant colloquially known as the huckleberry, okay? Vaccinium ovatum. You can see there's the flowers right there, little urceolate, urn-shaped corollas right there with the 5 fused petals, and there's the fruits maturing up there, the berries, okay? Bunch of seeds inside those berries. Remember, the difference between berries and drupes is that a drupes only got one seed, berries have quite a few. And this plant, Vaccinium ovatum, of course, this Vaccinium is the same genus as blueberries and cranberries. Many edible berries. Saw Vaccinium racemosum in the Dominican Republic when I was down there. But look, flip those flowers up, and you could see those 10 stamens inside with the inverted anthers. Okay, inverted anthers being a synapomorphy for many members of the blueberry family, Ericaceae. Okay, inverted anthers, porose anthers too. They got little pores in them for buzz pollination, so the bees will, you know, at least especially in the manzanitas and the madrones, will vibrate that corolla and get it to just dispense pollen out, dump pollen out of those little pores. Like a little cereal dispenser at one of those flea bag motels. They get the free breakfast that, you know, you'd have to pay someone to eat. So anyway, there you go. Vaccinium ovatum, very common, ubiquitous plant in a redwood forest. And oftentimes you'll see it growing 100 feet up the tree, growing out of like a crotch in the tree. Or a lot of them grow as epiphytes. But they are all mycorrhizal Okay, heavily mycorrhizal with the fungi, heavily symbiotic with the fungi. Look at it. Can you imagine seeing something like that? A tree that's about 25 feet in diameter, not circumference, but diameter, and your first thought is to turn it into flooring or studs for a house? Just, I mean, it's a sociopathic mental illness. You know, just lowest common denominator thinking, you know? I'm going to take this because God said he put it here for me. Does your God talk to you, oh boy? You see some of those pictures of those smug pricks with their mustaches and their hats, you know, standing on top. God, I'd love to piss on all of them. But anyway, you know, it's just, it boggles the mind how you could see that and want to destroy it. And again, we're just left with crumbs. Just crumbs. You look at a map of a region, and, you know, the national park up here, everything's preserved. But outside of it, right up to the boundary, it's just pimpled, just dotted with chicken pox of clear cuts. I don't understand it. But, you know, maybe that's just me. Just a massive cultural mental illness. So look at those burn scars. How long ago you think that fire occurred? 300 years ago? Was it the same one that left the burn scars 200 feet up the tree on the other side of the river? Did God tell you to cut it down, old boy? Is that what he did? God told me to skin you alive. It's not been an uncommon saying throughout human history either. Anyway, moving right along. Here we go. God told me to take it. God said he put it here for us. You could be like the kids that get sent to a Christian Bible camp. My friend Jaden got sent there. He said it didn't fuck him up too bad. I mean, at the time it did, but he's fine now. You know what they do when they act like they hold their arms up and they act like they're getting bathed in a marinade of God's glory? Okay, they go, our God is a sexy God. He reigns from heaven above to give us all his love. Our God is a horny God. Is your God my God's a horny God too? Look at that, oh boy. Look at that. Is he just cruising? Look, they like hanging out here because they know no one's gonna hunt them. Oh shit. He looks like one of the decoys they got up at you know, Cabela's. You know, when you go in there to shoplift. No, I'm not going to do nothing to you. Oh, he's got a nice ass. You got a nice ass. Do you work out? Huh? You lift or something? It's all those squats. I do squats too. How do you do? I don't know how you do squats with the 4 legs though. No one ever tells me I got a nice ass. You know, and I'm Italian. We got nice asses. All our other, you know, personality flaws aside, I will say that Dago's got nice asses. Look at that. He's got a nice ass too. You got a nice ass. Is that sexual harassment? Has anyone ever sexually harassed an elk before? It's not like that. I'm just, you know, I'm just being frank. Hey, be serious. Be serious there, guy. How many squats a day to get like that? I do probably 5 sets of 25. Mix it in with my boxing. All right? But you got to break it up with jump rope and a few push-ups. But that's, I mean, I'm not going to, you know, you're looking good. You're putting the work in, old boy. That's a stunner right here. So this is a tan bark oak, Natolitha carpus densiflorus. Okay, and they get, you know, they turn into trees upwards of sometimes 90 feet tall. They're not too big right here. This is a little seedling, but look at that beautiful anthocyanin pigment in that fresh new growth. Meant to protect that from those harsh ultraviolet rays before the tissue gets a chance to harden off. I always love the way that looks. Look at that. That's beautiful right there. These are getting hit hard with the Phytophthora, a brown algae that became parasitic. It's basically a brown algae that became parasitic. One of the, quote, water molds in the, you know, with the oomyces, oomyces. Look, the Vaccinium ovatum does the same thing. The huckleberry. See again, the red pigments are just those anthocyanins. Okay, kind of like plant melanin to protect them from the harsh ultraviolet light before the tissue gets a chance to harden off. So it's, you know, not just the oaks that do that, but also the members of the blueberry family too. See, he's a buttressed trunk with a burned out cavity. See, the cavity's all burned out. Listen to that beautiful bird. That beautiful bird call up there. How old on this guy? 2,000 years? 1,500 years? How many selfies have been taken inside that tree right there? Far too many. Look at it, just that whole burrow is just a giant shelf. It's the giant shelf for a few of the dozen fern species that occur in this forest. Burn scars all up on a trunk. Nice understory, that polystichum. Some redwood seedlings. Some vaccinium ovatum. Look at a burl on that guy. It's a nice little mantle for some of the understory plants to grow epiphytically. You see the trunk buttressing? Sequoia dendron, the other redwood species in California, does the same thing. Metasequoia, which will grow in Chicago and New York and even Minneapolis, does that too. Metasequoia is a deciduous redwood though. The down redwood. MassiveOldBastards.com. I gotta get some of these domain names, you know. CatholicPunishment.com is another good one. Did anybody register that yet? SwollenOvaries.com. Someone else actually registered to the YouTube channel. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. I don't know how to do that stuff. You know, I don't know how to register domain names and redirect and all that. Someone did. One of you did that, and I applaud you for it. What about Catholic Punishment? Could you get the domain name CatholicPunishment.com and redirect that to Crime Pays But Botany Doesn't? Look at that. We got a little seep right here. And because of that, we got this plant. Remember the aroid family? Okay, family of house plants. Oh, there's a nice banana slug, too. These guys always look like a shit. Oh, what's he next to? Some sort of damn, what is it, a millipede? Oh, yeah, look at that. Anyway, aroid family, Araceae for this guy. This is a skunk cabbage, Lysochiton americanus. Okay? Not flowering, unfortunately. If we could find a flower, you'd see why they call it skunk cabbage. It's got the typical spadix and spathe inflorescence arrangement. It's a monocat, like all of the aroids, the Araceae. But a big yellow stinky flower when it blooms. It sends up the main inflorescence is surrounded by a massive bract that looks like a little cathedral holding it. And that's typical spadix and spathe flower arrangement, inflorescence arrangement of the aroid family Araceae. Here we go. Here's a nice plant, member of the Asteraceae, the composite family. Not quite blooming yet. Okay, you could see he's got a little bit of wool on that emerging inflorescence right there. Adenocolon bicolor. Flip over those leaves. Ooh, look at a webby velvet. Webbyvelvet.com. Oh, spank me in your Catholic punishment dungeon. Anyway, abiaxial surface of this arrow-shaped leaf is quite gorgeous. But you can see another plant of the understory. Now, I want you to pay attention to the fact there's not many mushrooms, okay? Now, part of that's because it's dry, but the other part of that's because you're not going to get any mycorrhizal fungi that produce mushrooms in a redwood forest, because redwoods are not mycorrhizal with ectomycorrhizal fungi, like the boletes and the amanitas and the typical stuck and cat mushrooms. They're mycorrhizal with the glomeromycetes, which you never really see unless you got a microscope and you're looking at roots. You know, powerful microscope, you need to look at roots. See, the glomeromycetes are known as arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi because they actually penetrate into the root cells and form little arbuscules. So if you see the ectomycorrhizal fungi growing in a forest like this, the trees you're going to be members of the oak family or the pine family, okay? Members of the redwood family don't associate with ectomycorrhizal mushrooms. I mean, you could see saprotrophic mushrooms too, you know, just eating the dead stuff. Holy Christ, look at this guy. Half burnt, half dead. He's laying in pieces right there. But then, you know, part of him just decided to keep on growing and is stretching on up into the canopy. Look at that nice money shot of the root system right there. This guy blew over. See, they don't go that deep. But look at that guy. Look at that old bastard. And now we're going to look at some native members of the lily family that occur in the understory, okay? This one right here, member of the Liliaceae, okay? The family of true lilies, all right? As opposed to like Melanthiaceae or any of those other monocot families that tend to look like lily flowers. This is one of the true lilies. This is Prosartes smithii, okay? All these obnoxious European last names is species epithets. Kind of annoying, okay? Not really relevant to this plant or its history on this landscape for the last million or 2 years. Okay, who was Smith? Who the fuck knows? Could be any one of 12 now dead white guys. Anyway, you can see the flowers there. Flower parts in multiples of 3. Got 6 stamens in there in that flower. And notable for this, you got those opposite leaves. Opposite and glabrous. Actually, they're opposite the distal end, but then you can see they're alternate at the more proximal end, more proximal to the axis of the plant. They got that parallel venation, and you flip them over, and you can see kind of glabrous and shiny on the undersides. Ooh, they feel kind of waxy, almost kind of sticky too. You can see we got a pretty good view of the sky right here. That's because we're in actually third growth redwood. This has been logged twice. Okay, the death cult came in here and logged it twice, so it's much brighter than elsewhere. Okay, I call it the death cult because, you know, they destroy everything, and yet they're still not even happy. And you look at their society today, and it's, you know, filled with mass shootings and drug addiction and other forms of hopelessness. Just kind of the Walking Dead, right? Feel sorry for the people that got to live in that kind of shit. Anyway, another member of the lily family right here, as you can tell by that parallel venation and those kind of glossy leaves. Look at this. This is a massive individual of this species. This is Clintonia andrewsii, and there's those flowers. Look at that. Look at the color on those guys. You can see this guy already got pollinated. There's that ovary, swollenovaries.com. Will soon turn into a little berry that, you know, gets eaten by the birds and dispersed. I wonder how old this guy is. You can see he's growing on a dead log right here. Growing on a dead log. The color on that is really something else, so really incredible. There you go. Hairy filaments. Hairy filaments on this guy. You see those? Kind of odd, huh? Could that be to, you know, direct pollinator behavior? You know, keep them up top so they brush up against those banana-shaped anthers, or what's that about? And you got that green ovary in the center. Of course, topped by the style and the stigma. The stigma doesn't look like it's open yet. It should be a 3-parted stigma, like most members of the lily family, Liliaceae. So anyway, we're a little bit closer to the coast right here. As you can see down there, it looks about a 500 to 600 foot drop. You got the Pacific Ocean, and because of our proximity to the coast, we're getting a lot more fog, okay? The sun is gone, all right? Also, because of our proximity to the coast, we got this tree right here, Pisceus sitchensis, the Sitka spruce. Let's go check it out. Okay, and then here we go with fresh bursts of new green growth looking like little fuzzy green dongs. We got Pisceus sitchensis. It's the Sitka spruce, okay, ubiquitous along the coast. Starts appearing a little bit south of here in Mendocino County, and then goes all the way up on into British Columbia. All those little danglers right there, those are the microstrobili, okay, the pollen cones for this wind-dispersed tree. This tree with wind-dispersed pollen. So you can see basically just a bunch of little bracts, and then the pollen. Oh, what's that? That looks like some sort of little spider home. The pollen just basically drops out of there on the air currents. Okay, now as you can see, we're in a little grove, a little population of that Sitka spruce, that Pisceus sitchensis. There's one of the female cones right there, the Megastrobili, Megastrobilus singular. Now, this plant, this tree, is in the pine family, which, as I was telling you just a few minutes ago, is ectomycorrhizal. So it forms a symbiotic relationship with those typical stalk and cap fungi, those basidiomycete fungi. And because it forms a relationship with those ectomycorrhizal fungi, we also get this plant, which parasitizes ectomycorrhizal fungi in the genus Hydnellum right here. This is Hematomes congestum. Now, as you can see, this guy's just emerging, okay? He produces no chlorophyll at all because he doesn't need no chlorophyll. He doesn't do any photosynthesis. Look, you got a little spruce seedling right there. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute with that little seedling? So anyway, this is a member of the blueberry family Ericaceae, and there's a subfamily of the blueberry family. There's a subfamily in that family, Ericaceae, called the Monotropoideae. And the Monotropoideae is a subfamily that consists entirely of non-photosynthetic plants that parasitize ectomycorrhizal fungi. And each one of them tends to be a specificist on a particular genus. And like I said, this guy, Hematomes congestum, parasitizes the genus Hydnellum. Look at that. You can see those are just vestigial leaves, all frilly and lacy and whatnot. Now, when this guy's going off, you know, he's got probably another month before he flowers, but he is emerging. So he's got those vestigial leaves, and when he is going off, the flowers are very interesting. I mean, who doesn't love a goddamn achlorophyllous plant? A plant that doesn't produce any chlorophyll, okay? So some achlorophyllous plants parasitize other plants, and some, like this guy, parasitize fungi. There you go. You can kind of get an idea what that root looks like. See, the root is almost white. Now the flowers, when they do emerge, you know, in another couple weeks to a month, will just basically, you can almost kind of see. Well, now you can't really see them at all, but they'll come out in between these little bracts, these vestigial leaves, right there. But what a fantastic plant! Too bad I couldn't show them to you when he's flowering. That sort of smells so incredible. Wish I could share that with you. You know, too bad I didn't catch him when he's flowering, but you just have to take my word for it or look up pictures on the interweb or some shit. That's a stunner right there. Look at this whole slope with the Sitka spruce on it is just composed of, you know, dead logs. Dead logs decaying, getting eaten by the fungi, decaying plant material and organic matter. You got the mosses too. Oh, look at these tiny little bastards. What is that, a mycena of some kind? So because these trees are here, you got the mycorrhizal fungus here. And because the mycorrhizal fungus here, you got that hematomes is over there. Very rich forest, very rich soil. And they're also coming up in a dappled light of the understory of the Sitka spruce forest. We got a species of Trillium. Okay, a monocot in the Melanthiaceae, the corn lily family. Okay, a lot of toxic plants in this family. Look at it, you got tree sepals, tree petals, and 6 stamens with those brown banana-shaped anthers about to dehisce, and you got a 3-lobed stigma in there. How about that? You can see the fruit in there too. See that? The green, that's the ovary. That'll mature into a little capsule. Okay, 3 leaves. Got a lot of species of Trillium in North America. You probably got some near you if you live near a conifer forest. Or, you know, they come up in hardwood forest too. Okay, and here's an interesting plant. The member of the Asparagaceae used to be in the Ruscaceae, which I still want to bring back. They lumped a whole bunch of families into the Asparagaceae. But anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and say this is still in the Ruscaceae. The Nolina family. All right, same family as that genus Nolina, which is a really beautiful desert plant. Anyway, this is a Misanthropum dilatatum, and you can see right a unique leaf shape right there, parallel venation indicating it's a monocot. And then let's take a look over at those inflorescences over there. The inflorescences are raceme, and you can see you got those yellow ovules which will mature into fruits. And then you know, due to the dew and the spiders messing with it and shit, you can't really get a good handle on those flowers. No good money shots to those flowers today, but they got a pretty nice scent to them. I wouldn't say it's bad. Okay, it smells pretty fragrant. 6 stamens, 6 petals, and then of course those yellow ovules in the center, which will mature into the fruits. There you go, Mianthemum dilatatum. See, there's more of that hematomes. See that? Just like it looks like a little dog dick, just poking out the ground right there. Okay, out from the moss. Anyway, you can kind of get an idea what that root looks like down there. See, it just looks like a little white stalk down at the base of that. God, it sort of smells so good. Who knows how many goddamn different species of bacteria, fungi, and other wonderful microbes you got in that rich duff. Wish I could smell that with you. Anyway, the flowers emerge from in between these bracts. They get about 2 inches tall. Okay, the pedestal is about 1.5 to 2 inches. And then when the flowers are pollinated, they the fruit's a little white berry. And apparently it does a fine job of getting dispersed throughout the forest, because there's quite a few other ones just emerging in the rich duff of this spruce forest. Now, making our way to the coast, we're going to stop. We're going to look at some stuff right here. Pretty interesting shit. Okay, remember the saxifrage family, the saxifrageaceae? There's the leaves. There's the hairy stalk, and here's the very unique flowers of Thelema grandiflora. Look at us. Those little fringed petals poking out of that flower. Fringed petals interspersed with those green sepals. Anyway, there you go. There's a flower dissected right there at the Thelema. You can see those yellow anthers. Those stamens just adnate to the corolla. Okay, the petals have been ripped off. The sepals are all that's left, and then right in the center you got that ovary with the stigma up top. And then right next to that Thelema, you got a member of the Asteraceae, that parasitize, with those peltate leaves. Flip them over. Look all silvery and whatnot on the undersides. When they send up an inflorescence, it's like a little globular, spherical inflorescence of composite flowers. And it tends to shoot up from right next to where the leaves come up. Pretty interesting plant. So I got this guy too, this invasive bastard from Boraginaceae from South Africa, a species of Myosotis. Oh, look at that! You got a little osprey perched up there doing his thing, doing his little high-pitched squeaking. So here we are at the mouth of the Klamath River. The Klamath River is one of Northern California's most prestigious rivers, most well-known rivers. And this is basically where it meets the ocean. Last time I was here, that massive sandbar that's damn near a mile across was actually over here. And the opening where it met the ocean was over on that side by that little tweaker fishing dock over there. But you know, it's nice. Sometimes you get the sea lions hanging out here. They like to hang out. Oh, there's some right there, right at the mouth, you know, because they basically catch all the fish that are funneled. There's that osprey. They catch all the fish that are funneled through this little narrows right here, you know, heading back and forth between the ocean and the river, you know, upstream. So there was actually a mother gray whale and a calf that ended up upriver a few years back as well. They hung out there for quite a few months. So you get river otters too with the shit. You know, I was here the other day, and the sea lions were just very, they were being very crude. I'm surprised nobody called the cops on them. They were just hanging out back and forth, being loud as hell, you know, disturbing the peace, getting close to shore. They were curious about people hanging out. Look, Jack's kind of posted up looking for him. But, what was that up there? I don't know. You get turkey vultures. You get that osprey. That osprey just hangs out up there. He was here a couple days too. Anyway, let's go check it out. Let's see what's going on. So anyway, you can see the rocks right here. Some nice metamorphosed basalt. Secondary alteration on the basalt. Now let's look up what we got growing on the rocks up there. That's pretty interesting. Look at all those little chalky blue rosettes. It's all Dudleya farinosa, which is one of the plants that the Korean and Chinese poachers were hitting pretty hard a few years back. You know, they intercepted a shipping container filled with you know, tens of thousands of them. They also caught some guy trying to mail them back home to sell. You know, it's all just market poaching. You know, poaching them to sell because they go for a high price. You know, to middle and upper class citizens that want to, you know, add them to their collection, put them on their mantle to slowly die. Looks like you got some sedum too. Look at those. See the smaller rosettes? Oh, the sea lions are getting pissed. You see that? That's a sedum up there. The smaller rosettes are the sedum. Let's see if we can find a Dudleya for you. Oh yeah, there you go. There's a Dudleya up there. Nice Dudleya farinosa. See that up top? Much bigger rosette. There's some right there. Dudleya in the center. Plus you got the sedum. More Dudleya. Dudleya is a wonderful genus. You get them in the deserts too. You get them in the deserts of Arizona. Where those guys go? They were just hanging out. They just popped up. I had a big one yesterday. He was pretty curious about me. Well, anyway, there you go. Dudley farinosa crass is the family. Looks like you got some damn polypodium ferns too, right there. Some turkey vultures hanging out over there. I wonder if something died. It could be something died. You know, there used to be condors here. Condors are like this. They're like turkey vultures. You know, they eat the dead stuff, but they're about 3 times the size. There were condors here up until maybe, I don't know, 1900, and they went extinct. They're trying to reintroduce them to one of the tribal lands up here. Massive turkey vulture. So anyway, this is the spot to kick it if you're a sea lion. You know, get a free meal, hang out. See, look, see that guy? He's just hanging out in the foam. I don't know why you want to do that though. It's kind of nasty. And like I said, this will be the channel right now. This is the mouth right now. But you get another big storm here in the winter, it might shift the channel, the mouth of the river over there, and all the sand will come over here. Because I said if you look at a Google satellite, this is all under sand right here. That condor reintroduction sounds nice. I hope they do it. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully you got some out of it. The sea lions are cute. They smell like hell though, and they'll rip your hand off. Isn't nature wonderful? I think so. All right, that's all I got for you today. Have a good rest of your evening, and go fuck yourself. Bye. No, don't do that. You don't need to do that. I didn't do it. No, hey. You can see what they do. They just, you know, they hang out here, all right, near the mouth of the river, you know, waiting for stuff to come in, all right. They know they're safe here. Okay, the sharks aren't going to come in and get them. Eating all kinds of fish, you know, just a little channel. They like to brush up against the rocks over there, you know, help them scratch and whatnot.